What's up, everybody? Good morning. Hello. Welcome to Philly with John Marks, PHLY. Let me make a little adjustment here to my camera. Is it working? Are we live? Andrew Frazier producing the program today. It's draft day. NFL draft, first round. Will the Eagles make a selection tonight? A lot of people think that they may not, which is fine because I love the NFL draft. Anyway, we'll talk to Bob Cooney, our own Bob Cooney. If you missed the announcement, Bob Cooney joining the family here at PHLY. He will join the program about 25 minutes from now in Block B. But, and I'm mad at the Phillies because they have, not that they've taken the draft away from me, but because we have to discuss them. Anytime you get swept by the New York Mets, and you're now one game over 500 after 25 games. Not the way that you wanted to start the season. Not the way you wanted to start the season. And, they're losing in a variety of ways. Their offense stinks. Their bullpen's giving up leads. Their starting pitching's been fine. But, just a really, really disappointing stretch here for the Phillies. Get swept by the Mets yesterday. Good morning to everybody out there watching live on YouTube every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. on PHLY. Philly with John Marks, brought to you by Bet Parks. Get involved in the conversation. We have our live chat, our 8 a.m.ers that like yesterday, we had a very, very spirited discussion on some Phillies topics. I'm expecting more today. So Block A, Phillies, and then we'll move into some draft and some Eagles stuff. We'll talk Phillies with Bob as well coming up about 20 minutes from now. But so here's my opening salvo for you out there, Phillies fans. Remember leading up to the season, late in spring training, there was a lot of finger wagging at Phillies fans. You're being negative. We're coming off of a Super Bowl. This is a really, really good baseball team. How can you not be excited about this Phillies team? How dare you be negative? Negadelphia. What are you doing, right? And I stood up for people that were maybe being a little bit negative with the Phillies. I wasn't doom or gloom. I still think this team will make the playoffs and win 90 games. They have great starting pitching. They have offensive players that will come out of whatever's going on right now, hopefully. Their bullpen has to get better, right? But, it's still early. Everybody's telling me it's early, right? Well, they're 13-12. They're a game over 500. And the reason why you had some Phillies fans coming into the season melancholy about this team is what we've seen so far. There's a staleness to this team. I mean, it was pretty clear the Phillies agreed with a lot of fans, and they thought that they needed a change for lineup sake, maybe for chemistry's sake, for just to get a different type of batter and hitter in here, but they didn't do it. So when you come into the season, based on what we saw the last two seasons, falling apart in Arizona, and then last year where it was just a disaster, and the second half of the season, and you get routed by the Mets in the playoffs, it's like, so in the offseason, there weren't a lot of big moves to make. And it's not that the Phillies didn't try to make moves because they did, but they have essentially the same team. They got worse in the bullpen. They signed Kepler, who, I guess he'll be fine. I don't know. But the questions that were out there remain, and they may have them remain. Now with Brandon Marsh, it's like, all right, this probably isn't going to work out. But so for all the finger wagging for people out there that were saying you're being negative, Negadelphia, you should be positive with the Phillies. Okay. This is what a lot of fans were worried about, which was a team in the decline the second half of last season. And now you look at the first 25 games this season. So here's the good news. We'll talk a little bit about the game yesterday, but here's the good news with everything is that the beginning of last year, the first half of last year, this team was unbelievable. Remember, they were on pace to win 120 games or 110 games. They were finding different ways to win, walk-off fashion, great starting pitching. They were rolling. And then the All-Star break happened, really the London series. People still blame London. I see London, I see France. They blame London in the series against the Mets that kind of turned everything. Now, I don't know if London really has anything to do with it, but that was kind of the turning point. That was the pivot point for the Phillies team, and they haven't been the same since. So where are we right now as a team? Where are we right now? It does. Listen, I'll just say this. I still think they're a playoff team. I'm not going to go crazy, but for everybody that was worried about the Phillies this season based on what they saw the last half of last year, I think your concerns are now very much warranted. And now you have to actually wonder, all right, well, like, where do you go from here? When you face the better teams and the better starting pitchers and the better bullpens, guess what typically happens? No surprise. You don't smash home runs like you do against the freaking Marlins or the Nationals or some of these other teams, the Rockies that they faced early in the season. Lot more difficult to hit home runs off of a Mets starting pitching staff that's the best in baseball. Most strikeouts, lowest ERA. They're really rolling right now. So the Mets are rolling right now. But what happens in April has nothing to do with what's going to happen in September, in October. So let me make that very clear. It's a long season. It's still early, and you can't predict how a team is going to be playing in September or October. Maybe there's a trade made at the trade deadline. Maybe this team just kind of finds itself, and the mojo's different. But right now, they lack confidence. They lack an approach at the plate. They're very, very difficult to watch on a daily basis. Offensively, terrible with runners in scoring position. They can't get runners home from third base. They're striking out a lot. I mean, you name it, this Philly team has done it. And it happened again yesterday. So they were fortunate that Zach Wheeler hung in there and gave him 6 innings. And then the bullpen actually kept it together. Alva freaking Rado gave you 2 scoreless innings in the 8th and the 9th. But then you get to the 10th inning, you get a run, and you strand the bases loaded, 1 out, bases loaded, and you had an opportunity, and they couldn't get another run. So Castellanos gets an RBI single. Phillies are up 3-2. Real Muto walks. Bohm singles to right field, but they hold Castellanos at third base. 1 out, bases loaded, 1 out. Stott flies out to shallow center, not deep enough to score the run, and then Kepler flies out to end the inning. At that moment, that's where they lost the game. And if you were watching the game live, didn't everybody feel the same way? Where it's like, man, you needed that run. Because you knew that Romano was coming in, and you don't feel confident with that happening. So you knew you needed that extra run. They start the inning with a runner on second base. It's very difficult to not score a run, especially with the guy like Romano on the plate. And by the way, like, Romano I don't think he pitched poorly. The Pete Alonso double, that was actually in a really good spot. I don't know how the hell Alonso got as much as he did. That was outside. He went reaching for it. And, man, he hit the ball like 350 feet. But, like, give Alonso credit. I don't know how the hell he hit it as far as he did. And then the game-winning single was that was almost like a broken bat, humpback liner that just barely cleared the infield. And then that was the game. So I don't think Romano pitched particularly poorly yesterday. The problem is this team just can't seem to find ways to win right now. The Mets are 18-7. They won 7 straight games. The Phillies are just 13-12, and they now trail the Mets by 5 games in the NL East. Of course, there's plenty of time to come back from it. Of course there is. But the team is not a confident bunch right now. And you have to wonder about this lineup. One-dimensional. When they all go cold, they all seem to be going cold. Trea Turner, Bryce Harper's not playing well right now. I mean, geez, getting swept by the Mets in New York when you really need one of these feel-good wins. Yesterday would have been a salvageable, get the win. I'm going to ignore what I really feel about this team, which is they're struggling right now, but at least you didn't get swept. Well, you had the opportunity to get a win and to get the hell out of town, to get the day off on Thursday and go to Chicago, but instead you got swept, and it feels like you got swept. The Mets are just a much better team than the Phillies right now, and they certainly – it sucks to say this. The Mets own the Phillies right now. Mets own the Phillies. The Mets go out there. They have a swagger against the Phillies. They have confidence against the Phillies, and the Phillies are playing on their heels, and they're playing without really any type of energy. And I understand when you're struggling, especially offensively. I'm not going to go bad body language, but you can just tell like they are not feeling well right now. And I'll end this conversation here. And this portion of the program brought to you by GLAT Hair Restoration, GLATHairMM.com, 610-980-4000. Check them out. When Joe Girardi, when they came out, Joe Girardi's the year he got fired, there was a lack of energy. The guys felt like they were going through the motions, and doesn't it feel in a similar fashion to the year that Joe Girardi got whacked? And I'm not suggesting that the Phillies move on from Rob Thomson, because he has earned the benefit of the doubt. He has earned an opportunity to work his way out of this. The Phillies haven't played great to start seasons. We went over this like last week or the week before after 15 games. Like, it's not unheard of that good teams struggle coming out of the gate and then they find themselves and everything's fine. But all I'm saying is that, like, the same thing that happened with Joe Girardi, where the team was just kind of like, and you could tell that like his message wasn't reaching them. Is Rob Thomson's message reaching the Philadelphia Phillies right now? Or are these guys just going through the motions? They don't look particularly happy. They don't have a bit of energy out there. So I remember Terry Francona, who ended up, I don't want to say Hall of Fame manager. I don't know if he's a Hall of Fame manager, but he's borderline, right? Like, he got to start in Philadelphia as the Phillies manager. Players loved him. Players manager, young manager. And after a while, and the team didn't have talent to be a playoff team, but I felt like at the end of Terry Francona, they were underachieving. It was very comfortable in the clubhouse. The players were very comfortable being a bad team, which I didn't like. They fired him. They brought in Larry Boa. Larry Boa came in and lit a fire under their ass. Now, they didn't make the playoffs under Larry Boa, but they came close. In the modern day baseball of the wild cards, they would have been a playoff team. Larry couldn't get them over a hump, but you notice the first year, they were a much better team. Fundamentally, they were a better team. They ran the bases better. They were better defensively, because Larry ain't taking crap, right? And immediately you saw the dividends, and you saw the balance of, well, Terry Francona is this, Larry Boa is this, and like the contrast really made a difference. So then you remember Joe Girardi. And also with Larry, when it didn't work, they brought in Charlie Manuel when Larry's message became not stale, but the players were tired of him. And Charlie Manuel came in, the rest is history. They had the talent. The clubhouse became comfortable again, but they had studs and they were mashing home runs. They won a World Series. So Joe Girardi exits. Rob Thomson comes in. Joe Girardi was wound very tight. He was in the final year of a contract. He knew that his job was on the line, and he was pressing, and he was probably a miserable person to be around. And the guys were just tuning him out. And you could just tell like things weren't great, because immediately with Rob Thomson, things turned around, and really they haven't looked back since. So I'm beginning to wonder if this kind of continues into the second half of the season. Now, being in the World Series and making the playoffs 3 years in a row has earned Rob Thomson some time, and he probably doesn't get whacked. But you can't tell me it's not in your head if you didn't bring in a guy that was going to make these guys a little bit less comfortable and push them a little bit and press them a little bit and maybe not make things so easy. Rob is very, very positive, and he's always got his guys back. And I love that about Rob Thomson. I like Rob Thomson a lot. I do. I think he's done a great job with the Phillies. But we can't act like strategically he's the best manager. And here's the other thing. The buttons before that he was always pressing that seemed like the right buttons, those same buttons aren't being pressed anymore. They're just not. I mean, the buttons that he's pushing aren't working. So when you push the buttons and it works, you're a genius. When you push the buttons and it doesn't work, now you don't know what the hell you're doing. Regardless, if it ain't working, you can sit there and you can say, all right, well, like keep trying. To me, it just looks like a different tone in the clubhouse is needed. And if you have players that aren't going anywhere, and this roster is pretty much set, you wonder how long Dave Dombrowski, who is spending a ton of money, is willing to sit tight with Rob Thomson, because he's not signed long-term. But like, he very much could be gone after this season. So something to pay attention to, and certainly something that's already in my mind, is that maybe these players do need a different voice in the clubhouse. All right, one more thing here with the Phillies. Dave Dombrowski. Like, it's time to start hearing Dave Dombrowski criticism, and I'm a huge fan. There's a reason why he's won championships, and he's been in the World Series in a number of different places. He's a great executive. The signings and the trades that he makes are really good. Jesus Luzardo was a great trade. It was a great trade. And he's also had some real clunkers, and he's had some okay moves. But the bottom line is he didn't get it done this offseason, and he didn't improve the team. I know he tried to trade Bohm. I know he tried to do some other stuff. Reality is the bullpen is clearly not as good as it was last year. And the everyday lineup, they added Kepler, but there's just a staleness to this team, and it felt like that running it back, especially offensively, was a bad idea. Dombrowski spoke to the media yesterday, and he discussed Jeff Hoffman. He was talking about the bullpen. He actually brought up Jeff Hoffman, and he said, it was interesting, he said that the money that Jeff Hoffman signed for with Toronto, the Phillies offered a very similar contract, maybe even like the same contract. But at that time in free agency, Hoffman's agent was like, no, we want this. We're not willing to settle for that. And Dombrowski moved on because he felt like, hey, well, if I don't move on now, we may not get anybody. And that's where he signed Jordan Romano, which took him out of the Jeff Hoffman conversation. This is proving to be a big mistake because Hoffman has been Jeff Hoffman up in Toronto. He's been unbelievable. He's 2-0, 5 saves. ERA, last time I checked, was 1.69. Lots of strikeouts. He was the reliever we saw last year and the year before with the Phillies. So not waiting that out a little bit, like Howie Roseman probably would have done. Like, Howie has a real knack for knowing value and knowing when to move on and knowing when to kind of wait things out. Dombrowski didn't wait it out, and he went with Jordan Romano and took himself out of Jeff Hoffman. And that just seems like a huge mistake. What would this team look like with Hoffman as their closer or as their right-handed closer working with Alvarado? It's a rhetorical question. I think we know what it would look like. So, hey, Dave Dombrowski, you failed at the trade deadline last year. You failed to make in-season trades that have upgraded this team. It hurt them last year. You're on the clock too, brother. Dombrowski, he won a World Series in Boston. They whacked him a couple years later. So normally when things go south to Dombrowski, he doesn't stick around for the rebuild. He's spending a lot of money. He's writing a lot of big checks. He is going to be here as long as this team is competitive. And then it could be a disaster. I like that Trea Turner contract, for crying out loud. I mean, Jesus. Anyway, so Bob Cooney, more with the Phillies on Bob Cooney, and then we'll pivot to some draft conversation. Chris Sanchez said yesterday he felt normal, and the Phillies were not giving him an MRI, at least as of yesterday. He's supposed to play catch. He's going to go out in the backyard and have a catch on Friday, or he's going to have a catch on Friday. So I've seen a lot of, they dodged the bullet with Chris Sanchez. Okay. We'll see what happens his next start or the next time he plays catch or whatever. They're not giving it an MRI for whatever reason. They don't seem concerned about it. I'm still concerned about it. When you have forearm tightness like that, that could be a precursor for the UCL ligament, which means Tommy John surgery. Not saying that yet. All I'm saying is that anytime a pitcher has forearm tightness, that's trouble, or that's a reason for alarm. We'll see where that goes. Also, Weston Wilson returned to the Phillies roster. Can we pour one out for Cody Clemens? Designated for assignment. Does it mean that he won't clear waivers and go to AAA and we won't see him back at some point? He could be claimed by another team and we could be saying goodbye. Cody Clemens, a lot of memorable moments with some pinch hitting, walk-offs, etc. But the Phillies decided they needed that right-handed outfield bat, as I would agree. So Weston Wilson, he played yesterday, got to start yesterday. So Weston Wilson is here and Cody Clemens is gone. Off day for the Phillies. And they're in Chicago for a weekend series. All right, draft day. What do we think the Eagles are going to do? I'll give you my thoughts on that coming up. Bob Cooney will do Phillies, and we'll do some Eagles. Cooney is actually on the network today with Jamie Lynch at 2 p.m. talking birds. That's coming up next. Bob Cooney, our newest addition to PHLY as we try to take over the Philadelphia sports landscape. The Cooney is coming up right after this. Philly, 2-2. We're back after this. 2-2. Don't go anywhere. All right. What do we got here? What do we got? Empire Today. What do we got? We got professionals, experts. All right. So if you're going to go to the big box store, and listen, I'm guilty of doing this as well because I like deals, man. I still clip coupons for crying out loud. I'm a loser. But if you go to the big box store because you think that you can get flooring at a deeper discount, a cheaper price, okay. All right. So now you're browsing the aisles. All right. Piles and piles fill the aisles. Never seen so many styles. So then you're looking for, it's like, all right, well, I kind of like this, but I have a lot of questions. And now you're looking around, and you know how these big box stores are. Very nice people work there, but there's never enough people that are working there. So now you're looking and like, all right, it's like, hey, can you help me with this? Oh, well, I'm in hardware. Let me see. Hey, Barry over in plumbing. This guy has a question about flooring. And then you have questions and you're like, you know what? I don't feel comfortable. Don't do that. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals. That's all they do. This is what they do. So Empire Today, they live and breathe flooring. They're with you every step of the way. It's an entirely different ball game. So they bring the showroom to you. They come right to your house, and they bring everything that they have. You're picking the right flooring with the right colors in your space. You can see how it looks with your furniture and in your house. I don't know if you've been. I've had this happen to me with furniture. The lights in the furniture store are much different than when you bring it home, right? So in your house, you can see how it looks, and you're getting clear upfront and all-inclusive pricing. They take precise measurements so you don't have any questions. Everything is taken care of right there. And if you want, you can get installation as soon as the next day. And I got a deal for you. If you schedule a free in-home estimate today, all PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount. Just use the promo code PHLY. PHLY, EmpireToday.com/PHLY for full details. EmpireToday/PHLY. You can save some cash with Empire. All right, there you go. What do we have what do I have the second block here, Andrew Frazier? We have Rothman. Rothman Orthopedics. All right. So think about it. Now it's going to be 81 degrees today, right? You're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to jog. I'm going to get ready for spring. Like that's me right now. I always make sure that try to get ready for the beach. It's like now I got to become active. Now I got to work. Now I got to lift. And now you're experiencing pain. Us old guys, it's like your knee, your elbow, your back, your shoulder. And it's happened to me. It's happened to everybody out there. But then you live with it. Then you're saying to yourself, like, all right, like, no, I'll be fine. You wait a week, wait 2 weeks, it never gets better. Then you go back out, you swing the golf club again, and it bothers you again. So what do? You live with the pain, or you stop doing the things that you love to do. You don't have to do that. Rothman Ortho is there for you. Telling you, experts in the industry, over 30 convenient offices right here in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. But why would you go to anybody else? And like as a Rothman, a former Rothman patient, I can tell you firsthand, went up to the Limerick office, had a shoulder problem, waited a year before I finally made a friggin' appointment. And in one appointment, diagnosed frozen shoulder. They wrote me a script. I went to physical therapy. That's right there at Rothman in Limerick. 6 weeks, bang, I was good. From diagnosis to discharge, they provide patients with every single service and procedure that's necessary. That includes x-rays, bracing, MRIs, physical therapy, and more. Everything you need right there. And again, 30-plus convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers. And that's Rothman Ortho, specializing in orthopedics. And you can make an appointment, or to learn more, just go to RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY. RothmanOrtho.com/PHLY. Why? Well, Eagles draft coming up tonight. NFL draft, day 1, round 1. My best guess, which we'll talk to with Bob coming up in a second, is that they don't make a pick tonight. And like it's different because you're coming off a Super Bowl and everything else. So it's like, all right, if you don't make a pick, then like whatever, I'll talk to you tomorrow. but you kind of hang around to see your team make a pick, and they're the final pick in the first round. So I'm wondering if the PHLY Eagles draft coverage tonight is waiting, and then they trade out of the pick at 32. Could they trade up? We'll discuss after we talk Phillies with Bob Cooney, who is the newest addition here at PHLY. He's going to be covering the Phillies and everything else. And in fact, he's making his debut today with Jamie Lynch talking birds. That's at 2 p.m. What's up, Cooney?
What's going on, John Marks? How are you today?
Congratulations. You know, I found out from, I didn't find out from anybody internally. Someone texted me and said, hey, Cooney's with you guys now. And I'm like, he is? He is. Oh, congratulations. Love having you aboard.
I can't wait. Very excited. Great. Very happy for the opportunity, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. And you know, I got a lot of people on social media that reached out nicely. And yeah, I'm not just a basketball guy. I've been around this city in the sports section of it for 30 years. I do know the ins and outs of a lot of different sports besides basketball. Of course, we'll hit on basketball also. But yeah, love the draft, love the Phillies, love all the stuff that we can cover, that we can try to get some inside information for our viewers.
Yeah, I shared this with you maybe one of the first times I had you on, that I used to love baseball Bob. I used to love listening to, getting in the car. You are an excellent baseball guy, and you'll be doing a lot of coverage for us here at PHLY Phillies. You and Tyler, and you'll be writing stuff for the website. You'll be down at games. 13-12. And I heard a lot of people, and this is the buzzword, and it's true. It's early, 25 games in. But isn't there a different feel for this team coming off of the second half of last year, coming off of an ultimate meltdown against the Diamondbacks the year before? 13-12, a lot of time left, still a playoff team. But does this year feel different? Feel different than maybe a normal year would feel if they started off 13-12?
Yeah, I look at it a couple of ways, John. Like, okay, you have about, 6 25-game stretches, a little more than 6 25-game stretches, right, during a baseball season. To say you're going to go 13-12 during a 25-game stretch in one of those 6, okay, right? You're going to be like, okay, if it's August and you're talking about a 25-game stretch, 13-12, you're going to be okay with it. You're right, though. There is a different feel with this team. And I'm in the locker room the other day, and look, I'm not going to lie and say I've been in the Phillies locker room a lot over the years. People know what my experience is. But back in the day, or watching this team over the last few years, wasn't the mantra about them, wow, this team loves each other, they're having so much fun, all of that stuff? Was it kids play with throwing the seeds in the water and stuff like that? Sure. Okay, sure. But was that them? You get the song when the playoffs come? I thought it was them, right? Right, John? Like, okay, that's who this team is. We can talk about on the field and all, and who can hit and who can't, and what Rob Thomson does and all. But the makeup of this team seemed to be like it was a fun one that liked to be together and all that. They decided not to do that anymore. Okay, so it's like somebody, whether it was players, and I don't think, somebody came down and said, stop it, don't do that anymore. I think the players said, all right, maybe it's time to grow up and we don't do that anymore. Did they take away something that was them? Did they take away something that they enjoyed to do? That's just a question I have, whether that leads to 13-12 or not. That's a question that I have. Are they trying to be something they're not? Like, we're grown-ups now. Yeah, you're grown up at 28, 30 years old. But if you're playing a kid's game and you want to have fun playing it like a kid, I sure as hell would never take that away from you. And if I was doing that as a player, as a person, as I have through my 30-plus years in sports in Philadelphia, no, sorry, I'm still going to act like a kid when it comes to sports. I just wonder if that has a little something to do with it, John.
It's a great point. It is, because I got tired of the whole daycare stuff as well. But they're tight. And when you're struggling offensively, and we always hear like, oh, there's bad body language. Look at them. Right. When you're losing and you're not successful, that's typically what happens. Guys aren't happy when they're striking out with a runner on third base or they're grounding into a double play. But I even thought in spring training, and I talked about it, I even thought in spring training, there wasn't a lot of confidence. I didn't sense confidence from the team. I didn't sense hey, like last 2 years didn't end the way that we wanted it to. And like, this is a year, like, we got it this year. I didn't sense confidence. I didn't sense a lot of edge to this team. Everything just seems very stale offensively And I mean, honestly, the chemistry with this team is a little bit stale right now. And they could definitely use, you had said it, you know what? Like, all right, like, how about Bryce Harper comes out after a win and dumps a cooler of water on somebody, right? Like, get a little bit loose. Let's play with some confidence. This team, we've seen this confidence. We've seen this team. When they're playing well, they are a confident bunch. I don't see it right now. And, like, they got to get back to doing that. They got to get back to where we're seeing the team that kind of gets up there and it's like, oh, they're going to win this game. Get Bryce Harper to the plate. They're only down a run. No one feels like that right now that they can come back. And getting swept by the Mets 13-12, you hope they can turn it around. But, man, it just, to me, this just feels like running it back wasn't a good idea. They tried to make some moves, but they ran it back, and this team feels like they ran it back.
Yeah, it does. And it does feel a little stale and all that. And sure, you know, would the taste be better if you're getting key hits? Now, like, you look at yesterday's game, they hit the ball hard. I mean, they had a lot of hard hit balls, some that were just foul, others that were caught. You know, it's kind of the bad luck of the situation right now. And a lot of it, I think, John, is kind of what you said. It's mental, right? I mean, you know, you and I've talked about this before. I know when I was covering a Sixers team back in the day, they were like 35-2 at home, but they couldn't win on the road at all. Why? It's not because physically they're worse on the road than they are at home. No, it was a mental thing. It was, all right, here we are on the road. Your thought, I talked to one player, your thought process wasn't, as opposed to home, how are we going to win this game? On the road, it was like, how are we going to lose this game? And nothing, I don't think any sport plays with mentality more than baseball. And, you know, you get an 0-2 count and things are going well. You're expecting to foul a couple pitches off, take a ball, and boom, you're going to get a hit. When things aren't going well, you're just wondering how you're going to strike out. Am I going to strike out looking? Am I going to strike out with a ball in the dirt? What's going to happen here? I just think that's where they are right now. Bullpen, yeah, it's been bad. And you bring in Romano yesterday, and you know, I think all of us were rolling our eyes. Oh, this isn't going to end well, and it doesn't. The thing that concerned me most: first pitch he throws, John, man on second because you're in extra innings. First pitch he throws, the Mets go to right field or to the right side of the diamond just to move the guy from second over to third. It was that easy. One pitch. Oh yeah, let me take it over to the right side. That's not a good sign when they can do things as easily as that, and it led to another loss.
Joe Girardi gets fired. Rob Thomson, the complete contrast to Joe Girardi. You see immediate dividends. I'm not suggesting that Rob Thompson's going to get fired. I'm not suggesting that Rob Thomson should be fired. But the team seems kind of comfortable with Rob Thomson. I don't know if the message is being heard loud and clear. Sometimes you need somebody come in to light a fire under a team's butt. And I don't know if Rob's doing that right now.
Yeah, it's funny. When we were kids, the Phillies of the 80s had this problem, right? Wonderfully, probably before your time, but wonderfully gifted. But they had a manager in Danny Ozark that everybody said the same thing that you said. Oh, they're just, Ozark's no good. And, they bring in Dallas Green, who's a butt kicker and screamer and all that stuff, and they wind up winning a World Series. But they also brought in this guy, Pete Rose, who was, a pretty good baseball hitter back in his time. I bring this up because I've said this before about this team. They need someone who can constantly put bat on ball. Like someone that is up there that even if he makes it out, he's putting the ball in play somewhere. A 310 hitter, a 315 hitter, someone that is constantly getting on base and just, much like Pete Rose back in the day, is going to get bat on ball. And they just don't have that right now, John. They have hope. And they have wishful thinking that somebody, Trea Turner, Bryce Harper, Castellanos, hopeful thinking that somebody's going to get on base. And they just need that guy that's going to, like, almost more times than not.
Yeah, Lou brings it up in the chat. And I was thinking it all series long. Hey, you look at the impact Lindor has had in New York and how he had in the series.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be Trea Turner. And he's giving you nothing. He's really, really giving you nothing. And how does that contract look now? He didn't sign a 5 or a 6 year contract. Jesus, Bob, this is not good. They need, Turner can't be non-existent. Bryce is streaky and he's kind of going through it right now. Schwarber's going to be fine. But one of the guys that you paid long-term to be a difference maker and to be able to carry you during stretches isn't doing it at all right now. And Trea Turner's a problem. Trea Turner is a problem. His defense isn't great. He's probably going to have to be moved off the shortstop. I don't even know how many years does he have left on the contract? 10 years left on the contract or something.
Yeah,
So,
quite a few. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, geez.
I think the most important piece of this offense, and this is strange to say, but it's really coming into my thinking now, and I wrote a little bit about it earlier this week, is Bryson Stott. I mean, if he gets comfortable in that leadoff spot, if he can produce at that leadoff spot, if Schwarber can be that protection behind Bryce Harper and make Harper that much better, that might be the most important person in this lineup. If Bryson Stott can just consistently get going, be that leadoff guy that you need, and then, of course, hoping that Trea Turner can back that up. And then, like I said, Harper Schwarber can be a 1-2 punch there at 3 and 4.
1979, the Phillies missed the playoffs, but they fired Danny Ozark. Dallas Green came in, was 19-11 down the stretch. They didn't make the playoffs. The following season, they won the World Series. Those players hated him. I know in particular, Gary Maddox hated Dallas Green because he was a dick to him. I mean, he really was. Pat Corrales, then Pat Corrales in 1983, the players hated him. They brought in Paul Owens. They brought down Paul Owens from being the president.
Yep.
That turned the season around. Joe Girardi, that turned the season around. Again, I like Rob Thomson. I think he's done a fantastic job. And he's earned the right to see this through. Something has to change with the dynamic of this team. You mentioned it may be a player that comes in. I don't know, but something's got to give at this point. It's really tough to watch. All right. Eagles, NFL draft. Bob Cooney today reunited at 2 p.m. with the bro Jamie Lynch doing some Eagles draft day coverage. That is going to be a lot of fun seeing you two guys back together. All right. So the question is, at 32, what is the most likely scenario for the Eagles? Staying put, trading up, trading back? Your thoughts?
I think they draft tonight, John. I do. I even am leaning towards maybe them moving up. I mean, they have a lot of firepower to play with all these draft picks that they have over the next 2 years. Howie has killed it, absolutely killed it over the last 3-4 years with his draft picks. I think I was doing some stuff last night. I think he has 7 starters at 1 and 2 over the last 4 years, or more than that, 9 starters. And then, second round pick a couple years earlier in 2020, who was Jalen Hurts. Like, he's absolutely crushed it. So that mentality has to go into a draft pick, right? Like, that goes into this year, Howie's saying, well, I've killed it over the last 4 years. I'm going to kill it again. Here's what I'm thinking. I think the obvious choice that everybody's thinking, excuse me. Do you have allergies, Sean?
I do not, but my kids and my wife do. And it's miserable.
Bro,
I went outside yesterday going to work. My trash can was covered in yellow pollen. It was just overnight. It was unbelievable.
I rinsed down both of our cars yesterday because they were just covered in green. Anyway, I apologize for coughing and wheezing because I have horrible allergies. But the conventional thinking would be that they're going to go defensive line, right? Either edge or someone inside. And this is really interesting to me. This isn't like a normal pick where you're looking, that guy's motor's good, but it's not great. Or this guy's good on pass rushing, but he's not good at stopping the run. No, this is all changed because of one guy, Jalen Carter. Because when you're picking a defensive lineman, you're saying, okay, maybe he doesn't have this or he does have that. Oh, and with Jalen, it's going to be better. And with Jalen, he can do this. Honest to God, I think that's how much of a difference maker he is. So I think a defensive line pick so much has to do with the guy you pick, but it also has to do so much with Jalen Carter. I think that's how Howie's going to look at it. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they go that way, maybe move up. Maybe you try to get a Walter Nolan, something like that, moving up, 7 picks, whatever. If they stand pat and some of the defensive linemen that they like are off the board, I think they might go safety. And Malachi Starks is a guy that I've said before, that's the guy I want, at safety. If they're going to pick it, another Georgia guy, how can you go wrong there? But the kid, Nick Emanuwari from South Carolina, who I've seen play a lot because our son graduated from South Carolina, so we have South Carolina Saturdays. I've seen him play a lot, just a physical specimen back there at safety. That's a guy I wouldn't mind either. So I'm saying, here's my prediction, John. They're going to pick tonight. They may move up. They may stand pat, but I think they're picking tonight, and it's probably 75% defensive lineman, 25% in Bob Cooney's book, a safety.
Jalen Carter's a force multiplier. It's a great point.
right?
Now you're saying, okay, we have Jalen Carter. What works best off of him? You don't necessarily need a top level defensive tackle to play next to him because everybody's going to be better. Like Milton Williams should have to slide some money to Jalen Carter as a commission check based on how much money he made up in New England. All right. So my prediction is that, so most likely scenario, they trade out. Second most likely scenario, they trade up. We talked to Fran Duffy yesterday. Fran had said he had spoken to some people that Howie, as no one should be surprised, but he's digging around with teams picking around 20 because he probably has guys, he has guys targeted that if they slide, he's going to jump up there and get them. And like, isn't this crazy? Wasn't that many years ago that we didn't have trust in the Eagles drafting process?
Right.
And then, I mean, geez, a couple years later, man, it's like they're experts at everything that they do.
They're just unbelievable. I mean, think about it. Last year, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. The year before, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. Year before that, Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean. Year before that, Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson.
Milton Williams.
Think about that, John. That's 9 guys that are not just starters, but prominent. Many all pros in there. And then, dip down to 2020. And then in the second round, they just so happened to draft Jalen Carter. I'm sorry, Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
It's incredible what Howie has done. I'm anxious to see, John, if that plays into how they draft this weekend, because he's hit home runs. And if you weren't a home run hitter, now all of a sudden you become one. Do you remember how to hit singles? Are you going for home runs all the time? It's going to be interesting to see how Howie and company handle tonight.
Also, remember, Jalix Hunt out of Houston Christian looked great last year. That's a 3rd-round pick.
Right.
Tanner McKee in the 6th round, and then Ojimo in the 7th round, who looks like he's going to be the next Milton Williams. This dude was really good last year. That's a 7th-round draft pick.
And again, he's playing beside Jalen Carter, too, so that makes those guys that much better.
He's going to eat, man. Grant Calcaterra in the 6th round. They have been tremendous in the draft. All right, one last prediction. The reason why I think they trade out of 32 is I think a team that wants to jump the Browns and the Giants to grab one of those quarterbacks, and they get the 5th-year option. A lot of buzz that teams that want a quarterback, they realize the Browns and the Giants are probably in on a quarterback at the top of that 2nd round. So just keep an eye on that pick could be for sale, and teams want to jump Giants and the Browns, that they could possibly get it. Like if the Saints decide, like the Saints were talked about with some of the quarterbacks at 9, and it seems like that's over with. So if they like one of those quarterbacks in the 2nd round, well, hey, get them at the last pick in the 1st round, and you get ahead of the Browns and the Giants. We will see. I can't wait to see how the 1st round plays out in general, because this is a really, really weird draft. It seems like you have the top 4 picks that are going to be chalk, and then after that, anything. Well, Jetty looks like he's going to go 5th too, but anything can really happen after that.
Good. He might fall. He is so much fun to watch. I love watching him play. I do. I thought of this last night, much to what you said. I think the Eagles are sitting back with their arms folded, and as much stuff is going to be going on, they can play that game too. Or they can be the big, bad Super Bowl champion and sit where they are and maybe like where they are and like who falls to them. But they have bullets in the chamber. They can move up. They can move back. They can do a whole bunch of things, whatever they want to do. I just think with the mentality that Howie might have now, with all the home runs he's hit over the last 4 or 5 years, I don't think he's going to pass up on tonight. I think he's going to move up and get someone who he thinks is going to be another difference maker.
Let's do it. I'll be very happy. Bob Cooney today, 2 p.m. Jamie Lynch, what do you guys have in store today there, Bob?
It's Jamie. You think anything's organized, John? Who knows? We'll go there and we'll do it off the top of our heads, and we'll have some fun with it. It's going to be great.
You'll do it live. You're not going to write it, as Bill O'Reilly.
No, I'm coming into the offices. I'll be there to eat the candy and all the stuff that I helped unload the other day, so I'm ready to rock and roll.
Love you, man. Good talking to you.
Buddy. Love you.
All right, there he is. Bob Cooney, the great Bob Cooney, the newest addition to PHLY. He's the best. All right, coming up, we have our Bet Parks parlay of the day. We're on a cold streak. We're only $2 on the plus side. Tyler Zuli's working Anthony's show today. Andrew Frazier is going to be a part of the parlay, and he's got a soccer play. Oh, I feel great about this one. Bet Parks parlay of the day. We'll go over some more draft stuff as well. That is all ahead. Philly with John Marks, PHLY. We are back in 2 and 2. Are you kidding me? All right, so let's talk about BetParks for a second. The BetParks app, it's the only app I would use to bet sports or online casino. All right, let's take a break on Philadelphia baseball tonight. But like, you got pro basketball playoffs going on right now. I've been hot with my pro basketball picks. I don't know why I've been betting on the Phillies last couple of nights because I'm so freaking desperate to get a win. But live dealer blackjack, roulette, craps, poker, and hot online slots. I know Andrew Frazier is at home smoking cigarettes and playing the Breaking Bad classic casino game. New users also get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. So go to betparks.com. Download the app right now. Enjoy all the action and excitement from the casino at your fingertips. Keep this in mind. You're looking for a great place to watch the draft? BetParks Sportsbook's unbelievable. Great food, great drink, TVs all over the place. BetParks Sportsbooks are awesome. BetParks Sportsbook's amazing. You must be 21 in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, or Michigan for BetParks. You love to play. You play to win. You bet. BetParks. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hoo-ah. All right. Let's talk about Ashley. All right. I was talking about I'm a former Ashley, or I'm an Ashley customer. Bunch of my furniture has been purchased from Ashley. Place is amazing. And the low prices are blooming. That's right. Spring in the savings at Ashley. Up to 50% off living rooms, bedrooms, and dining rooms. And you can have it all delivered for free. Long-term, no-interest financing. And you're saving on top mattresses and getting free delivery setup and removal. But don't wait. Spring into savings now at Ashley, South Jersey, and Philadelphia. Financing with approved credit. Minimum purchase required. Some exclusions may apply. For store and complete details, hurry to Ashley. Go to ashleyfurniture.com for more information. ashleyfurniture.com. Hoo-ah! Ha, 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 ha. Hoo-ah! We're back. Draft day. I don't even want to think about the Phillies. I'm so glad the Phillies have an off day, and then they go to Chicago. I'm not thinking about the Phillies till Sunday. Draft tonight. My favorite day of the draft is Friday night. You got rounds 2 and 3. A lot of movement, a lot of trading. So I'll be focused on the draft. God, Phillies are driving me nuts right now. And then Sunday when the draft's over, I'll get back on the Phillies. But we got to make some money, son. It's time for our BetParks parlay of the day. All right, Andrew, I'm gonna allow you. Andrew Frazier joins us, the producer of the Anthony Gargano show, who is at home producing today. What's up, dude?
How you doing?
Well, listen, I often feel helpless when people try to talk hockey with me, and I'm incapable of doing it because I just I don't follow it closely enough.
Sure.
But when it comes to soccer, when I see your videos and your tweets and things like that, I think, how the freak does this guy know so much, not only about the Union and the MLS, but you've already you fed Tyler Zulli picks for our parlay before. You nailed them too. So you know your soccer. Why do you know so much about soccer?
It's just one of my favorite sports, John. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's a beautiful sport, and yeah, man. I wish I knew more. Why I know so much more.
You just do.
I just do. Yeah. Savant, I guess some could say.
You are savant. I just don't I would have to, because my Uncle Jamie, he watches Premier League and he knows quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then I look at it, I'm like, I wouldn't even know where to start. Because if you look at the NFL or Major League Baseball, I pretty much know every GM and every coach and every player or whatever. With soccer, with football, I know nothing. So I would have to study for years to get up to the level of you. Years.
There are like a million different leagues all across the world. There's a million different players playing in every league. It does take some time. It does take some note taking, but anyone can learn it.
All right. Well, you know what? If you don't get this pick right today, then the hell with you. You don't know anything about soccer. All right. So we need to get on the positive side, Andrew Frazier. What do we got?
Yeah, we're going to Serie A. We're going to Italy. Serie A. I am picking Bologna. The Bologna Empoli game. I'm going 2.5 goals over in that game. I really do believe that it is going to be like a 3-1, 2-1 game. I think Bologna is going to win that game. Bologna, they're sitting 4th, I believe, in the table for Serie A. They just came off a big win, and Empoli is sitting 19th. So I feel like there's going to be some goals scored in that one.
All right. So whatever you just said, plus 2.5 goals, we registered it. And I am going with the New York Knickerbockers. And this is one of these things where if they end up losing the game, I'll be happy because I hate the Knicks. But they're in Detroit. It's a road game. Detroit beat them in game 2. And this is a response game for the Knicks and Tom Thibodeau. Knicks are the more talented team. And I like Detroit a lot. They play with edge. They play with an edge I wish the 76ers played with. Detroit's a good young team. It was a hell of a turnaround this year for them. But the Knicks have been there. The Knicks are the better team currently. I will take the Knicks -1 over the Detroit basketball. Knicks -1 over Detroit. A $50 bet's going to pay us 171, Andrew Frazier. So let's get it. We're on the plus side, +2. This will get us to 173 when we win tonight. So let's take $50 to win 171. Good luck.
You're not worried about Tobias Harris in that one?
I can't believe that he's on a playoff team nailing threes. And I mean, he was taunting at Wells Fargo. He was taunting the fans and telling them to be quiet when he was hitting threes. And it's like, you son of a, oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
It's enough of a reason not to root for Detroit, but the other reason is I've never root for the Knicks. So it's a win-win tonight. If we hit our parlay, then I'm happy. If the Knicks lose again, they go down 2-1 in the series, then we're happy. All right. Well, good luck,
man.
Thank you. There he is, Andrew Frazier, with his soccer pick. Thank you. With football. All right. The draft tonight. I already gave you my thoughts on it. I could sit here and say this player, that player. If they stay at 32, then they're probably taking somebody on the defensive line that they feel like is a good value pick right there or a good pick right there. I believe and I saw Zach Berman wrote this on allphly.com, that he believes the most likely scenario is that they trade out of 32. And I'll rehash what I said to Bob. There are a number of quarterbacks that teams have decided aren't worthy of a first-round draft pick, but are in that second tier that are viable to be taken at the top of the second round, or I believe in this case at the bottom of the first round with the Eagles pick. So the fact that the Giants and the Browns that are at the top of the second round or near the top of the second round are reportedly interested in grabbing a quarterback. So if there's a team like the Saints or another team that's still picking relatively high in the second round, but they know that the quarterback that they may like maybe it's a Jackson Dart, maybe it's one of the other guys, and it's like they're not going to last. They won't be where we pick. Let's move up 12 spots. Let's move up 10 spots, and we have we make sure that we get our guy. We get a 5th-year option that comes with a first-round draft pick, so we can have them under club control for 5 years, not 4. With a quarterback, if he's good, that's a really, really big deal. And we jump the Giants and the Browns and get our guy. That pick should be worth something. If there's a quarterback that there's teams that are interested in, and they know that the Giants or the Browns, or they're worried about the Giants or Browns taking them, that pick could be very easily flipped for a quarterback. So that's my prediction tonight with the Eagles, is they trade out of that pick, and then they make 2 selections in the second round. And it really is a Howie Roseman type move. So he gets maybe like a 4th-round draft pick for making that trade. Maybe he gets a 3rd-round draft pick for making that trade, because you have a bunch of so you have one in the 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. You have a bunch of draft picks there towards the end of the draft, and then you don't have a 6 or a 7. So expect Howie to make some moves. You have 4 5th-round draft picks and 1 4th-round draft pick. So I expect Howie to make some moves and get an additional 4th, maybe a 3rd or something like that. And who is that player going to be? You've all seen the names that I have. Go to allphly.com. Franny and Zach and Bo and the entire team. The draft coverage is unbelievable. You can subscribe to be a diehard right now. It's $3 a month, $36 for your first year. And it's the best Eagles coverage you're going to find anywhere in the city. I'm telling you, Fran's awesome. So get there. They have a top 100 Eagles board. It's unbelievable. So we'll find out, and then we'll see what happens in day 2, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. But Bob was bringing up some names from recent drafts. And when you go back, when you want to know why the Eagles won the Super Bowl, point to the draft. You really have to point to the draft. You can't just draft great players and win. Look at the Cowboys. They've been really successful with draft picks, but then like they become expensive. And then when you're not getting production and you're not signing players in free agency and Jerry Jones is cheap, you are what you are. But last year in rookie seasons, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalix Hunt, 1, 2, 3, made immediate impact, and they made impact in the Super Bowl. I mean, you think about that. Mitchell from Jump Street was a lockdown corner, and Cooper DeJean by the end of the year was your Swiss Army knife. He'll play safety. He'll play slot corner. He's making plays. He's hitting fools. He's taking Derrick Henry out. Remember Derrick Henry caught like that little swing pass to him out of the backfield, and Cooper DeJean ran up, bam, and nailed him. Immediate impact on a Super Bowl team. Pick 6 in the Super Bowl. Now you go down. You're never going to go if you have 8 draft picks. You're not going to go 6 for 8 or 7 for 8 or whatever. But like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. looks like a pretty good pick in the 5th round. Will Shipley, the running back, in the 4th round. We'll see about him. But immediate impact first 3 picks. Year before that, Jalen Carter, stud. Nolan Smith, stud. Tyler Steen, like, okay, he's going to compete for a starting job this year. 3rd round, Sidney Brown. He's going to compete for a starting job this year. We'll see. Keely Ringo. He's going to compete for a starting job this year. We'll see. Tanner McKee looks like a inexpensive backup who can play a little bit. Maybe they end up trading him and getting something as maybe another team looks at him as a potential starter. And then Mora Ojimo, Milton Williams last year, Ojimo this year. You look at some of his numbers and some of his stats as far as pressure rate and things like that, playing next to Jalen Carter, this kid's going to be good. 2022, they only had 5 draft picks. Jordan Davis, like kind of a disappointing pick. Didn't love it when they made it. They traded up for him. Cam Jurgens just signed an extension, and he's been spectacular. Nakobe Dean's a starter. Hopefully he gets healthy again, but he had a really breakout year last year. And then Grant Calcaterra in the 6th round is your number 2 pass-catching tight end. 2021, Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, Milton Williams. That's all I need to say. That's it. Doesn't matter if any of the other guys can't play, which they can't. Kenny Gainwell was a good pick in the 5th round, but he's gone already. Devontae Smith is a very good starting wide receiver, 1,000-yard receiver. Landon Dickerson's one of the best interior offensive linemen in the league. Milton Williams just signed a huge contract and was probably the defensive MVP in the Super Bowl and was tremendous. First 3 picks. They've been nailing their first 3 picks. That's how you win a Super Bowl. But now to replace the Josh Sweats, to replace the Milton Williams, when these guys leave because they're making big money, that's where you need to be drafting guys so they're ready to step up when you lose guys to free agency. And the Eagles have done such a good job of doing that. They need to do it again this year. So we'll see if they stand pat. We'll see, but make sure that if you're looking for impeccable draft coverage, Eagles draft coverage, right here with Bo, with Zach, with Franny, with everybody else, man, they are going to be on fire tonight. All right, to close out the program, if you want to watch the rest of us, you got to slide on over from watching on TV because it's time, and get to our YouTube channel, go to allphly.com. It's time for overtime. Didn't miss a beat. Good job, Andrew Fisher. All right, again, I'm predicting they trade out of the pick, and we have no draft pick to talk about tomorrow, which I will be totally fine with. You know why? That gives them 2 picks in the 2nd round, and it probably gives them an additional pick. Also, they could very well trade up. Fran Duffy talked about it yesterday on our show, that Howie is making calls, and he's seeing what it's going to cost to trade up into like the 20 range, maybe 22, maybe 18, 17, something like that. So keep an eye on the Eagles trading up. It could happen. Also, Dallas Goedert, is he moved during the draft? Is there a trade that comes down before the draft starts? Is there a trade that happens during the draft or before day 2 or something like that? Because Dallas Goedert's days as an Eagle appear to be numbered. Something else to keep an eye on during the 3 days of the draft. Everybody have an excellent day. If you're watching us live on YouTube, as you do every morning at 8 a.m., thank you very much. Always appreciate you. If you want to watch the program whenever, of course, we're available on YouTube whenever you want to. Just make sure you like and subscribe and comment. Comment on our episode and tell us what you think and tell us what we're talking about, your opinions on that. And if you don't get a chance to watch, maybe you're in the car, you can download our podcast. Audio-only podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. Just search Philly with John Marks, and you can listen in the car, at work, wherever you want to. Just do it. Do it. Do it. All right, Anthony's up next. Switch on over to him. He is live right now. Thank you for filling in, Andrew Frazier. We're back tomorrow morning live at 8 a.m. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.